G'day, it's fugitive Australian journalist Shane Dowling from the website Kangaroo Court of Australia. Now, today John Barilaro, former Deputy Premier of New South Wales, has been thrown under a bus by his former Chief of Staff, Mark Connell. A letter's been leaked to the New South Wales Parliament where Mark Connell has said that he spoke to John Barilaro a couple of years ago in 2019 discussing a government paid job in New York. And I'll read out the exact letter in a minute. But I wanted to discuss that and also Chris Carr giving evidence in the New South Wales Parliament inquiry yesterday, the 19th of July 2022. Now, in relation to the Connell letter, that's been leaked online. It's been published on the New South Wales government website, but what's being quoted is a little bit selective and you need to read the full letter. So I'll read the full letter. Now, if you're new to this story, I've published a number of videos recently and also a number of articles on my website in relation to John Barilaro. A couple of days before he resigned last year in October, he took action to sack a lady or withdraw an job offer for the New York job, New South Wales government paid job that was made to Jenny West. So the job offer was withdrawn from her and she was ultimately sacked from a government job too. But they were cleaning up loose ends. So that's the background to it. So I'll read out the letter, Mark O'Connell's letter now that's been leaked online, well not leaked online because it's been published on the New South Wales government website, but it's been quoted online. So I'll read out the whole letter now. I'm just going to pop up the extract on the video so you can read that, you can pause it and you can read the extract, but I'll read out the whole letter now. Now it says, in relation to the appointment of John Barilaro as Senior Trade and Investment Commissioner to the Americas, my name is Mark O'Connell and I'm a former Chief of Staff to Deputy Premier John Barilaro. I held the position from April 2017 until December 2019 when it was mutually agreed that I relinquish my position due to Mr Barilaro ceasing to take my advice and seeking outside counsel. My employment ceased in December 2019. Upon request, my written statement to the committee is as follows. And I request that this statement as evidence is to be marked as confidential. Well, it's not confidential anymore, is it? Regarding the matter of the appointment of Mr John Barilaro as Senior Trade and Investment Commissioner to the Americas, preceded by the independent inquiry, this Upper House Committee inquiry reports and public statements made by various ministers, I felt compelled to provide this statement as evidence to you. I've read the terms of reference and my understanding is that my evidence falls within that remit. I believe in following the due process of good governance. An incident occurred in my role as Chief of Staff to Mr Barilaro which concerned this matter. The committee is currently investigating. I strongly believed that my knowledge of this incident should be disclosed as it may be of interest or value to the committee to consider. Therefore, in the matter of public interest, I contacted the Honourable Penny Sharp and disclosed this incident to her. She's a Labor MP. Well, she could be Upper House, I'm not too sure, but she's a Labor politician in New South Wales. My conversation with Ms Sharp has been limited to this specific matter. I referred to an incident that occurred in April 2019. I'm unable to identify the precise date because I no longer have access to my diaries. However, I am confident it was the month of April 2019 as a meeting occurred for the relevant newly appointed ministers for trade and investment. Mr Barilaro had been appointed the New South Wales Minister for Trade approximately 1 month earlier. In attending this meeting, also in attendance was the then Treasurer, the Honourable Dom Perrottet, and the Honourable Stuart Ayres, who was appointed Minister for Investment. After this meeting, Mr Barilaro came directly to my office. He said, I've just come from a meeting with Dom and Stuart regarding trade and we're going to bring back the Agent General in London as well as a bunch of other postings around the world. He then stated, that is it, this is a job for me when I get the fuck out of this place. I responded to Mr Barilaro and stated, but John, the Agent General role will be filled well before you retire from this place. Mr Barilaro then said, I don't want to go to London, fuck that, I'm off to New York. I responded and stated, our current office and staff are in California. Mr Barilaro responded and stated, I'll get them to put one in New York. That's where I'm off to. The conversation in relation to this matter then ended. I don't have any involvement, knowledge or discussion with any persons in relation to this particular matter prior to or preceding this isolated discussion with Mr. Barilaro. I learned of Mr. Barilaro's appointment to this position when it was announced by the media. This prompted my recollection of the discussion outlined above. It is for the committee to evaluate whether my evidence is of interest to this matter. Thank you for providing me with an opportunity to submit evidence to the committee. Mark Connell, 17th of July 2022. Now what's important there and what the media haven't currently reported is that Mark O'Connell had a falling out with John Barilaro 2019 and left. And that's very important because that's what John Barilaro is going to argue. Oh, well look, his evidence is unreliable. Also the fact that Mark O'Connell admits that no one else was privy to that evidence. They weren't part of the conversation, they never heard it, and he hadn't discussed it with anyone else. So that's what John Barilaro and his supporters are going to argue. Look, that he's got too many supporters at the moment. My argument is, why would Mark Connell come forward and give that evidence? It was in the media all last week that ICAC are currently running their eye over this matter, and really they have to investigate. There's no choice because there's too much there that the limited New South Wales Parliament inquiry can't really get into because they don't have the power, whereas New South Wales Independent Commission Against Corruption has more power to call witnesses, subpoena them, and make them give evidence. So I don't think Mark Connell would really want to stick his neck out and be giving false evidence when the New South Wales ICAC inquiry is around the corner, most likely anyhow. But what also has to be considered, why would Mark Connell do that? Why would he come forward? There was no other witnesses to that conversation. I have to wonder if the current government haven't tapped him on the shoulder and said, look, give that evidence. We're going to throw John Barilaro under a bus because it's getting too close to the Premier, Dominic Perrottet, and also other ministers like Stuart Ayres. This scandal has the potential to take down the whole government. So it looks like to me that John Barilaro has been thrown under a bus. He had pretty well nowhere to go anyhow. And I think the government has sat back and thought, well, we can't save John Barilaro, and all he's going to do is take down the rest of us anyhow. Let's throw him under a bus. That's a possible reason for Mark Connell's decision to go public, well, give evidence that he said it should have been marked confidential, but it's been leaked. And he would have known it was going to be leaked too if he's in government or in politics for a while. Done a search. He apparently works for Connell Consulting, which is his own business, but I can't find a website anywhere. Now yesterday the head lawyer for Investment New South Wales, Chris Carr, also gave evidence in the New South Wales Parliament inquiry. But all he did pretty much was attack Jenny West, who was the person who was initially appointed to the New York job. Well, she was told she was getting it, she was offered the job, she said she was told she was successful, even from the Premier Gladys Berejiklian at the time. So Chris Carr giving evidence and just going on a personal jihad against Jenny West didn't achieve anything except undermine the government's position. Because it doesn't matter what Jenny West did or didn't do, or whether she got some of the evidence wrong or whatever. We've all heard the evidence, the key evidence, and it's without a doubt the job was stitched up for John Barilaro, and stitch it up for John Barilaro, Jenny West had to go. And that's what they did. Chris Carr didn't do himself any favours when he sat there and attacked Jenny West. He corrected some of her evidence, he claims, but he didn't correct any evidence from Amy Brown, his boss. And as we all know, she got a lot of the evidence wrong, and I have no doubt she committed perjury because they're giving evidence under oath. Other than that, this has got a long way to go, this matter. It's got the potential to take down the whole government, and that's why I'm keeping a close eye on it. Other than that, please share this video on Twitter and Facebook, etc. And make sure you subscribe to my YouTube channel. We're going from strength to strength. I only had 1,000 subscribers last year. We're over 13,000 now. And other than that, thank you for your time and have a good day.